It is 5:30, and we will call the regular school board meeting of District 717 to order. It is Monday, June 12th at 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Deb Holly,
Here.
Sarah Lehman,
Here.
Lauren Pedersen, Molly Maniak,
Here.
Rob Langheim,
Here.
Corinne Hennon,
Here.
Jenny Husky. Here.
Thank you. Consideration of agenda. We did not have any changes since the agenda was published. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
Motion to approve.
Sarah, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Corinne. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we have a couple of wonderful Jordan Pride Awards that we are going to be presenting tonight. And the first one, Superintendent Evenson, I'll turn it over to you.
So the first one is for Miss Kaylin Friery, and Kaylin has served as our student school board representative for the past 2 school years. Kaylin is one of those students that if there was any kind of a need for student representation, she 100% stepped up to the plate, serving on our strategic planning. She definitely volunteers for almost anything you'd ever need her to volunteer for. And while juggling a really busy academic schedule and night course schedule and all of that, she did serve as our board rep. So I'm very grateful to have had her representing our students these past 2 years. And we have a Jordan Pride Award for her. So if you'd like to come up front, Chair Polly will give you just a few little items showing our gratitude.
Okay, Kaylin, I just want to thank you. That one of the honors we have as a board, we probably started it about 8 or 9 years ago, was having a student rep serve on the board. And we have been very fortunate to have had you serve the last 2 years. Your input has been of great value to us, and it's also fun whenever I pop up here for something. I usually see you doing something, if it's the committed and caring conversations or working with our students or just being very visible, being very involved in many of the activities of the district. So you've been an exemplary student and an exemplary board rep, and we just wish you the best. And so we present you with a Jordan Pride Award. It's hereby presented to Kaylin Friery from the Jordan Public Schools Board of Education 2022-2023 student rep, whose endeavor for excellence has shown character, determination, and hard work that represent the values of our school and our community. This is a small token of gratitude to say congratulations and thank you for being a role model to others. So we have that for you, and we have this wonderful plaque for you. It's got her picture on it, and again, it says, in recognition of exemplary service to the Independent School District 717 Board of Ed. And then we also have a card and something in here that we hope will help with college funds for you on behalf of Superintendent Evenson and the board. So congratulations to you, Kaylin. And if you want to say something, we would love to.
I guess just thank you to all of you for being such a great board. You've all been super kind and super helpful to anything I ever needed. So thank you to all of you.
Best of luck to you, Kaylin. Sure. I guess we're supposed to do a picture. Oh, do you mind? Can we do the full board?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Let's get everybody up here with Kaylin. We're missing Lauren, but we'll Photoshop her in. Okay.
coming tonight. Thank you.
Renee, I thought you were saying that to me. I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah, nice work. Nice work. You're welcome.
Okay, and we have another award that I believe our art teacher is going to present. So welcome, Jess.
Thanks. My name is Jessica Barnes, and I'm the art teacher at the high school. And tonight we are recognizing Abigail King. She is one of the students that was on this year's art team. And art team competition is very much like solo and ensemble contest for our music students. Except everybody that's there is a solo act. Students that are part of the team can submit work in any of the 18 categories. The artwork is critiqued by Minnesota State High School League judges in the categories of composition, craftsmanship, process and problem solving, and expressive qualities. And besides their artwork receiving judges' commentary, they also have an artist statement, which is also critiqued because they are awarded points for their ability to explain their artwork in relation to the work they've edited related to those categories. Similar to music contest, a student can receive participation, excellent, and superior awards. So this is Abby's second year on art team. Last year, she received superior rating in the category of craft. This year, she did the same. Her abilities in crochet have earned her this year also a Spotlight award. So at sections, there's one student from the 100, like there's 145 pieces of artwork that are there. There's one student chosen from each of the 18 categories. That student goes to the state level show. Abigail's work went to the state level show this year, which was held at the Purpose Arts Center in Golden Valley. And we were attending that just a couple weeks ago at the end of May. So we are here to recognize her Spotlight Award for a state level award in art team. Yeah. Come on down. Yeah. Sure. So again, we have an award for Abigail that says MSHSL Visual Art State Level Showcase Participant, whose endeavor for excellence has shown character, determination, and hard work that represent the values of our school and community. This is a small token of gratitude to say congratulations and thank you for being a role model to others. And I want to thank your art teacher for your direction and leadership and working with these students. It's a great program. And I would like you to tell us more about your project, your crochet project. I wish we had pictures. Yeah. No photo. But maybe your art teacher can share a photo. I can share a photo. But you want to tell us about it?
I specialize in making like crochet faces, so I made a face. I didn't like it very much, but I made a face, so I gave it masks, and that's what I that's what I sent.
Great, good. Thank you very much. Yes, that's awesome. Oh my God, oh. You crochet that? Yeah. Wow. That is amazing.
That's amazing.
So what Abby's just trying to also share about that is each of the masks, depending on which one you put on, it creates different faces or emotions, right? Or different looks to it, right?
That
Depending on
is
which
incredible.
mask, and can you put multiple masks on it even?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You also win the award for being most humble and modest.
Yeah. That is amazing. Wow. Great job.
Yes, great job. Thank you.
Yes, I'll have you do one quick photo if you want to stand right in the middle there.
Oh my goodness. Do you want to jump in this one? At least we'll have Deb jump in.
Come on over.
That is fantastic.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
awesome. Oh, I love Jordan Pratt Awards. Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, so on to consent items. We have the minutes from April 10th, April 17th, May 8th, and May 22nd. We have the May financial reports. Let's see, somewhere here we have the donations. Somewhere here. I've got too many papers tonight. Donations, okay, we have Jerry and Cheryl Langsworth donated to the JHS Music Program $100. Brad or Melanie Hagen, JHS Band, $75. Michelle Spees, JHS Band, $100. Scott and Kristen Parrott, JHS Band, $225. Stephen Benita Barn, JHS Band, $300. An anonymous donation to the Pasta and Pops fundraiser for JHS Band, $1,375. Troy and Cassie Mangle, Pasta and Pops fundraiser, $40. Brett and Sonny Klein, all of these are Pasta and Pops, $40. Steve and Bonnie Barn, $200. Stephen and Lene McClellan, $50. Jim and Terry Violet, $500. Sherry and Dennis Schmidt, $50. Amy and Jeff Visner, $100. Jerry and Cheryl Langsworth, $10. We have the Jordan Pride Booster Club subsidizing various activity expenses, $30,000. Anonymous donation to Harmonics in the amount of $500. A miscellaneous donation to the a cappella group in the amount of $1,121.25. And the New Prague Sportsman Club to the Scott West Fishing Team, $1,000. Wow, we had some great donations this month. Community ed surplus, we've got a rowing machine and a softball pitch machine that they are getting rid of. We have the 22-23 tenured teachers as listed. We have resignation of our activities director, Joe Perkle. I want to say with thanks for all he's done for the program. Resignation of our JV cross-country coach, Holly Penny, again, longtime coach that has done phenomenal things. Resignation of our high school choir teacher, Katie McKnight. Resignation of our JV track coach, Holly Penny again. And resignation of kids company, Tammy Becker. Resignation of 9A boys basketball, Tim Wareham. And resignation of assistant boys basketball, coach Ty Pivick. And then we have leave of absence for our middle school social worker, Cassidy Capriglione. And we have the renewal contract for all of our winter sports as listed. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
I'll second. Jenny.
Jenny, okay. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, action and discussion items, review and act on the 22-23 revised budget.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
So, ready? Okay. So, it's that time of year again when we're going to do the revised budget for fiscal year 23, and we're also going to do the adopted budget for fiscal year 24 tonight. So, the way we do our budget, so the adopted budget is brought to the school board in the May or June of the current year. State statute says it has to be approved by the school board by June 30th. So, with the revised budget, I'll usually bring it to the school board in between March and June, just depending upon how our year is going, if it's a biennial, what the legislature is doing, and things like that. So this year, we're just going to do them all in one night, and that's tonight. We have an annual fiscal audit. Eide Bailey is our audit firm. They usually come out to the district in October, and we'll do a presentation to the school board each December to accept our audit for that fiscal year. The levy amounts are certified by the school board in September of each year, so we'll be doing that in the upcoming months. And also, the board has to approve our LTFM 10-year plan, and that'll be done at the July meeting. So this is just a little graph showing how our unassigned fund balance is going from fiscal year 2018 to fiscal year 2022. So you can see it's gone up and it's stayed pretty stable for the last couple years. So first we're going to talk about our general fund. We're going to talk about the general fund, but I don't want to include LTFM and capital dollars. So that's where we're going to get most of our fund balances from. So the revenues for fiscal year 23 for the revised budget, I'm expecting to increase 4.23% from the adopted budget. We had an increase in state special ed aid. We had also an increase in federal funding, and that increase is due because we didn't spend all of our ESSER and COVID dollars from the prior fiscal year. We had increases in other areas, such as there's a higher interest rate, and Southwest Metro also paid out a rebate last year for the C or Elevate online program. Along with that, expenditures are projected to increase about 5.27% from the adopted budget. There were salary increases. We added an additional kindergarten teacher because we had more students, and also some contract negotiations happened last year. There was a major increase in utilities, a little increase in snow removal, but not much, and then also other purchase services. We also had an increase in supplies. So here's the graph. So the top graph shows where our revenue sources come from. So the local sources, meaning our levy dollars and fees and things like that, that's the blue color. The major color of 81%, that's our state revenues. The federal sources are very little, kind of like the gray. And then other local sales is yellow, and that's pretty much nothing. I mean, there's some money there, but not a lot. The expenditures by object code are, the blue is the salaries and wages at 62%. Employee benefits are 17%. Purchase services are about 17%. Supplies and materials are about 3%. And then a little bit on capital expenditures because we spend most of our capital dollars out of our capital budget. But capital expenditures means just equipment and stuff that costs over $1,000. And then there's other expenses. So given the information that I just gave you, the unassigned fund balance, adding a year, fiscal year 2023. So we grew just a little bit. So our policy is, our fund balance policy is to be at 12% of our expenditures, our unassigned. So we're a little bit below 14%, so right now we're in a pretty good position. Now we're going to talk about our general fund, capital, and LTFM dollars. So our revenues are projected to increase about 3.26%. We had an increase in both state and local revenues. The expenditures for the LTFM and capital are going to decrease about 14% from the adopted budget. And the reason for that is because we didn't do as many projects, and we're kind of saving our LTFM dollars to do major projects that we know are going to be upcoming. The projected fund balance for capital dollars at fiscal year 23 is about $78,000, and LTFM I'm projecting to be about $910,000. So the large restricted fund balance they're expected because we need to save up that money for our major projects. And we actually, our 10-year LTFM has just been updated, and we're going to review those in the upcoming months. Next, we're going to move on to the student activity accounts. So these are student activity accounts that are under board control. A couple examples of that are the Spanish activity, the music activity, and Wolfridge activity. Those are activity accounts that take trips, and it's just easier for them to get checks and money into the district office than it is to go through the boosters or have their own accounts. So the projected revenue for this year is going to be about $227,000, and the expenses are about $231,000. And FY23 is a trip year for the Spanish activity, and I think they actually left today. So next we're going to talk about the food service fund. So for food service, I'm hoping and I'm projecting an increase of about 7.1% from the adopted budget. There was an increase in state revenue and federal revenue than what was originally predicted. Expenditures are expected to increase about 6.47%. There was an increase in salaries and benefits, and also a major increase in food and supply costs. So I'm hoping to have fund balance in the food service account by about $542,493. This is up about $7,000 from fiscal year '22. So next, we're going to talk about the Community Service Fund, and that's Fund 4. So that's all of community ed, and then our homeschool goes in there as well. So revenues are projected to increase about 14.3%, and mainly just because of participation numbers. Our expenditures are projected to increase about 7.5%, and that's an increase in salaries and also an increase in purchase services. That means what we have to pay for groups and people to run our camps and also supplies. So the projected fund balance at fiscal year '23, June 30th, is $404,000 overall. So the reserve for community education will be about $49,000. Reserve for ECFE will be about $111,000. Reserve for school readiness about $180,000. And then for other purposes, which includes our homeschool and preschool screening, of about $62,000. So the debt service fund, that's Fund 7, and that's what we use to pay all of our outstanding bonds. So we get invoices twice a year. We get them in August and again, or January, and then again in August. So these are used to pay our bond payments. So the revenue projected this year is about $3.1 million, and the majority of that aid comes from levy dollars. Expenditures are projected to be about $3.143 million. Dollars that had been previously held in escrow, because a couple years ago, I think maybe like the year before I started, we refunded bonds, saving the district money and interest, and so they grew those accounts in order to pay off the 2014 bond, and so all of that money went to pay off the 2014 bond in fiscal year '23. So that's going to bring our projected fund balance down to $912,000. We also have a self-insured dental plan, which is very healthy and growing. So the projected revenue to be about $123,000, and expenditures or claims about $104,000, and the fund balance to be about $75,000.
Amy, I have a question on that.
Yep.
It's cute. Okay, so where does that 75,000 extra go?
It just stays in that self-insured fund balance. That's all that we're allowed to do with that. There will be, I think, as time goes on, there may be a time when we can reduce the premiums for the dental insurance. So far, we haven't been advised by our insurance people to do that yet. So what it is so when the employees pay the claims,
Yep.
or the employees pay the premiums, that goes into that fund, and then claims are paid out of that same fund.
Okay, and so is there more of a balance, or is that
The $75,000 is the balance.
okay.
So I think as it grows, and I think our insurance people will probably advise us at one point in time to just reduce the premiums. Our premiums are pretty low right now anyway, and with the substantial fund balance, it might even be able to be lower. And that's just for dental insurance. We can't do
Yeah.
it with anything else.
Okay, my opinion, I don't know. Can we speak on this or no? What's the rules?
Sure,
Are there
go
rules?
ahead.
Okay, I just feel like we shouldn't have that high of a balance, because that's a benefit for our employees, and it makes sense that they're not all claiming it, but to me, that should be, like you said, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, and I think it's
Put towards
not
the
it's not
premium.
if they don't claim it. So it's like when people go to the dentist, those claims get distributed to us automatically. It's not that they're not claiming those expenses.
So like if we would have a high number of
Yeah.
claims, we need that money in there to cover
Yes.
them. We can't deplete that, say that there's, 10 staff that have major dental work done, we need that cushion in there to cover it.
Yeah, and it's
That's
also
what
for their
self-insurance
families, and
is.
and we don't and people don't sit like this is when they go to the dentist and they
Mm-hmm.
pay they pay their bills with their claims. It just comes out of our bank account right away.
But I think, isn't there a max to the dental? Like you have $1,000, and then anything over that, you pay out of pocket?
Every insurance plan is different, but this is aligned to statute.
Yeah.
So we will always have a balance. We have to have a balance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the 104 is because maybe some people didn't go get a cleaning or
Yes.
whatever, and then
And
didn't
yep,
use
so those are
their-
just the claims that I'm predicting to be at the end of the year. Yep. And
Okay.
so those are just the people and we hear all the time, she gives us our insurance person gives us graphs and say, you have this X amount of people that don't go to the dentist. They still have the insurance, but they just don't go to the dentist and use it.
Right. So then that's why we have the remaining amount.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry if I didn't explain.
No,
that
that's
correctly.
fine. I just wanted
But
to
yeah.
make sure I understood. 'Cause I
But
was
yes,
like,
it
I feel like we
is.
shouldn't have that amount of money there if.
Yeah. And there are people that just, they don't go to the dentist, but yep.
Yeah.
But that does attribute to that. So they're always paying the premiums, but not necessarily using the benefit of the dentist.
Okay, thanks.
So now we also have the construction fund. So that's it's going to be the abatement bond for this year. So the amount deposited for the abatement bond was $1.3 million. And the expenditures to be at June 30th, I'm expecting to be about $95,000. The majority of that will be paid out as the summer goes on and we start paying some of those bills. So some things to keep in mind. These numbers are only a projection at this point in time. The final audited data will be presented in December. I will probably do an update for the board in September or October. Another thing to keep in mind is the federal dollars will decrease in fiscal year 2024. The ESSER and other dollars from the COVID pandemic have been used up. I think there's maybe one small pot of money left, and that's for after-school programming. The data for fiscal year 24 will look differently. There's going to be more state dollars to be received, less federal dollars, and it's a negotiation year for most groups, and we all have to see what the costs of the new legislative mandates are going to be. And I think, is that the last slide? Okay, so do they want to act on this one now? Okay. So this is in front of you, I did give you all spreadsheets. So I divided it up into columns. So it's the same concept as what's been presented here. There's just, like the yellow column on the first page is the fiscal year 23 revised budget, and it's that way for every budget after that. So I recommend that you approve the revised budget as presented.
Okay, this is an action item, so we need to approve the budget. So I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Sarah, is there a second?
Second.
Rob? Okay, discussions for Amy? No questions, no discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, all those in favor of approving the budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, on to the 23-24 proposed adopted budget.
Okay. So it's basically going to look the same. So tonight we're going to approve the fiscal year 24 adopted budget. Again, it has to be approved by June 30th. I will bring a revised budget to the board probably between March and June of next year. Our annual audit is always going to be in October, with the audit for that fiscal year being presented in December. Well, I will bring forth the levy dollars in September and also the 10-year LTFM expenditure and revenue plans in July. So this is just probably the same graph up to fiscal year 23 of your restricted fund balance. So the restricted fund balance is money that is just in the general fund. So the general fund, not including LTFM and capital dollars, I'm expecting the revenues to increase about 3.54% from the fiscal year 23 revised budget. This revenue is based on 1,824 adjusted ADMs. It's an increase to 4% in the state aid, which is an additional $548,000 estimated based on what we're projecting our enrollment to be next year. It's an increase in special aid, 44% of which is cross-subsidy. It's about an additional $800,000. We have an increase in EL funding of about an additional $34,000. So we have a decrease in federal funding of $1,054,000. For expenditures, I'm projected to increase about an estimated 3.46% from the revised budget. Salaries and benefits is a negotiation year for most groups. The projected unassigned fund balance, as of the best information I'm given today, about $3,132,000, which is an estimated 14% of our expenditures. These are just a projection of the point in time of as of today.
Our ADM last year was what, 1806? Is that what we based last year's on?
No, I think it was a little higher. We had a student served of like 1806, that's what I based it
Okay,
on. But
gotcha.
ADMs also includes early childhood special ed,
Okay.
and then there's also some tuition kids, what that Southwest Metro claims for us that we get the aid for.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So again, the local sources are our levy dollars, and that's about 1%. Our state aid increased, our state sources increased to about 86%, and federal sources diminished, and local sales are still there. So our expenditures, 63% are salaries and wages, 18% are employee benefits, 16% are purchase services, and the rest are supplies and materials and other capital expenditures. So I'm predicting or projecting that our fund balance will stay about even, about at 14%. And that's higher than what the board approves or the board wants, but it's pretty good. So now we're going to talk about the general fund, just the LTFM and capital dollars. So the revenue is projected to decrease slightly. Expenditures are projected to increase from the 23 revised budget. We're going to spend more dollars on capital. We need a new network wireless equipment needed, but 50% of that will be funded with E-rate dollars. So we're going to spend down that capital fund balance down to about $8,000 at June 30th, fiscal year 24. But our LTFM is going to increase again, saving that money for other bigger projects. Next page. So the student activity account, I'm going to project revenue about 200,000. I don't think that this is a trip year for everybody. Possibly the music activity is taking a trip. Projected expenditures of about $100,000, and that's about it on the student activity account at this time. Food service. So food services revenues, I'm going to increase about 4.84%. Meals will be free in 2024. That means we're going to have an increase in breakfast and lunch served, so that our state dollars are going to increase. Expenditures are projected to increase an estimated 3.47%. We're going to have an increase in salary and benefits, and also another increase in food and supply costs. The projected fund balance I'm hoping to be at is $576,000, which is an increase of $32,000 from fiscal year 23. And it is by state statute that we will need to start spending now that fund balance. According to the state statute, can only have a restricted fund balance of 6 months worth of expenditures in the food service fund.
So Amy, do we know the reimbursement on that? Will that definitely cover our costs?
It should.
It should.
The new
Okay.
reimbursements for federal are not out yet.
Okay.
But what I did was, Kelly and I together, we worked at like the cost of a meal, or what we get reimbursed now, and what the meal costs, and that subsidizes with the state dollars. The community service fund, I'm expecting the revenues to project to increase just by 0.78%. Expenditures increase about 1.81%, and that's an increase in salary and benefits. Projected fund balance of $408,000. Reserve for community ed, $73,496. ECFE, $135,000, and reserve for school readiness, $130,000. We'll know more after the fiscal year 2023 audited numbers are in. But that restricted fund balance is going down, and that's because the preschool teachers are now on the same teacher salary schedule. Debt service fund is used to pay,
Bless you.
used to pay the bond payments. So the revenue projected is $3.1 million. The expenditures are pretty much even, as they should be, and the fund balance should be about $907,000. The dental insurance fund is the same. It's just a projection of the $123,000 income and the $110,000 worth of expenditures. The construction fund, so in August, that's when we're going to get our bond dollars in. So that will come up. And so expenditures at June 30th, 2024, I'm expecting to be an estimated $825,000. The construction fund does not include the new dollars for this building bond because those aren't going to be in until August, so they will be a more detailed budget at the revised budget time. things to keep in mind. These numbers are only a projection using the information at this time. More accurate information will be provided at the fiscal year 2024 revised budget, and we'll do an update for the board in September or October. Is that it? Any questions?
I got a question. So for salary and expenses, with the increase of about 3 to 4%, how much of that are you thinking about for inflation? How much of that is new FTEs per some of the requirements that we have based on the state kind of legislative cycle? It would help kind of just kind of close the loop in terms of what we were anticipating versus what is actually going to impact us for that 24 timeframe.
I'll step in. So one of the things Amy and I are working to do is maintain the staffing level we have and not make reductions. We feel like we're appropriately staffed and do not wish to engage in staffing reductions at this time. That being said, we know that it's a negotiations year. We are hopeful that, we are all around, 2%, because we really can't afford much more than that, but that those types of conversations, occur during negotiations. And so that's just a budgetary guesstimate that we have. As you can see, on the revised budget sheet, and this year we'll end the year with about $2,000, which is very scary for me, but it's not negative. This next year, even with all of those parameters and budget assumptions Amy shared, we hope to end with $20,000. So again, we want to have a balanced budget moving into next year. There is no room for much. We can't have, it will be interesting, and I'm hopeful we don't have a ton of unplanned expenses, unplanned lane changes that come up. Those things impact us greatly. So we're not allotting for new staff within this budget. We are hopeful that with negotiations that we can maintain a very conservative number. And our goal is to not make reductions at this time to impact student programs.
Got it.
That answer your question?
And based on kind of the parameters that are set forth within new state law, we're accommodating all of those to the best of our ability or
So in
insight at this
terms
point?
of student to adult ratios, we don't have any specifics on what that looks like.
Okay.
Only that we have to have the conversation. That's really all we know right now. So,
So we're not being presumptuous one way or the other?
no,
Got it.
we are working hard to make no reductions
Yep, got it.
in any programming. So for an example, Representative Bakeberg will be talking later. He might mention there's certain funds for different things. I think one of them was student support services. Are we going to add more programming to that? No, we are going to maintain and hopefully not cut. So that will augment current salaries that we have. This budget, you saw with the funding that we're getting from the state, the unprecedented funding, we have unprecedented expenditures that go right with it.
Yep.
So,
Got it. Okay.
yeah. So when I see posts like, make sure you should see your school district putting these dollars into action, 100%, because we're trying not to cut programs. So,
And a lot of things too. So when I did the budget and Renee, like I sat in on a MASBO legislative session and they literally laid out all the money that we're gonna get. And I took that into consideration. We had a spreadsheet. We just had to plug in our district and where it all went. And for me, that's the best that we can do at this point in time. And expenditures, there could be incidentals, could be price hikes, but, it's just a projection at this point in time.
so our goal is to not dip into our reserved funds. That number that you saw, you have a board policy of 12%. We're safely around 14 right now, which is where we want to be. I think our auditors every year tell us they'd like us around 25%. But, and there are some boards that have higher, or lower. our goal is to not dip into those reserved and to keep it balanced and above zero. So,
And the reserve can be used for anything? Like it's just like part of the general fund, or are they like
No.
in categories like?
categories.
Okay. So
Buckets.
this extra $2,000 that we're walking away with this year goes into.
Well, we won't know until the auditors go through our budget in October if it is really $2,000. They'll look at it, and I hope not, but I mean, it could be a little bit either way on that.
Yeah.
Last year's budget, we built to end with around, I think, 150,000, which is what would be typical. We had many, many unexpected expenses this year that ate that up like that. So I'm hopeful that isn't the case this year moving forward. And that just stays in our general fund, that $2,000. So it's not like we have an extra $2,000. Like, this will be used, you know, for these expenditures.
Okay. This is an action item?
This is an
Yep,
action item.
Yep,
Yep.
so if you are, any more questions for Amy or Superintendent Evenson? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed adopted budget for 23-24.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
Second.
Rob, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, review and act on the 23-24 property casual workers' comp insurance. More good news.
Well, when I went to my MASBO annual conference, I sat in on a session and they said, look out, your property and liability insurance is gonna go up at least 25%. So I right away just plugged that into the budget, so I was prepared. But our insurance agent, Dale Lockhelt from Choice Insurance, goes out and he recruits and does his best to get the actual best prices for us that he has. So, and another thing that we need to make sure of is that our blanket property value is up where it should be. And ours for a long time was way low. So we spent the last couple years trying to get that where it should be. So what that is the actual building replacement costs. And so our blanket property value increased from 132 million to 168 million. And that is where it should be. So that was, and a couple things and we did have some insurance claims, and our insurance claims ratio was up to 73%. So we had the high school chiller partial replacement in 2021. And then we also had a windstorm blow over some glycol piping at the elementary school roof. And so that is still a claim, and we're in the process of getting that taken care of this year. Our cyber insurance, as of right now, increased by about $4,157. And then also our district workers' compensation premium increased by about $13,066. So I'm gonna say Dale did call me today. So on the recap coverage, or the recap of all the coverage from 2023 premium to 2024 premium, the cybersecurity was at $13,369, and the same company came in, CFC, with a bid of $17,527. Dale did call me this morning that he is still getting some bids in. So when you do the resolution for this, the cyber insurance will not go over that $17,000. It might actually be a little less. So that was a little bit of good news today. But as of right now, it looks like our total premium package for fiscal year 23-24 is $264,052. So it's my recommendation that we stay with EMC for our property and liability and casual insurance. RAS is our workers' compensation insurance. And right now, our cyber policy is with CFC, but that could change based on the information if Dale gets some better information. And I've also asked him, you know, what the companies are and if he recommends those companies. So we'll know that. I will know that at the end of the week, but it will not be more than the $17,000.
Questions?
I'm actually shocked that cyber's so low.
Yeah.
I'm calling those guys tonight. For another reason.
You're right. You're
A-
right.
And their applications are pretty lengthy too. Stephen Damlo has to answer those because,
Yeah,
not touching
they're
it.
extensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay, so this is an action item, so I will entertain a motion to approve the property casual workers' comp insurance with the caveat that the cybersecurity number may be a bit lower. May. Big quotes around the word may.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
Second.
Rob, discussion or more questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of companies that will not bid it. Let's see, what did it say? So he sent them out to Hanover, they declined. SFM Mutual for workers' comp declined. EMC is with who we are right now, so they rebid it. RAS, which is a work comp, they declined. And then one other security at this time, but CFC was lower than that. A lot of places for the property and liability, they just don't insure schools. We filled out an extensive Hanover package, but they couldn't beat what EMC came back with.
So RAS declined property insurance?
RAS,
But
our,
they are okay with the workers' comp? Is that
no, RAS is our workers' comp. So I was just reading off the list. We only had two bid, RAS is the only one that bid for workers' comp. SFM, we used to have them and they declined it. We only had one other one bid for property insurance, and that was Hanover, and they couldn't beat it.
Do we know like what other like area schools are using for their insurance companies?
I do not. I know like a lot of the business managers that I talk to, they use a local agent as we do. There's a Min Trust that's MIST, it's called MIST. That's a self-insured group. The business manager from New Prague heads that up. We bid them out a couple years ago, and they couldn't come close to what EMC did. There's a couple other brokers out there, but then you have to make a proposal to change brokers.
you have to use a broker?
I've never done it on my own. I believe that we do, because they're the ones that are gonna
For our
bid.
company, this is what we do. So
Yeah.
you basically pick a broker, you find somebody that's somewhat national. They'll usually come with a menu of 10 to 15
Yeah.
different companies that provide this level of type of insurance, and you basically just put in kind of your information, and then they show you kind of what the lowest cost is. So,
But in this case, our broker isn't bringing us any other options with it, so that's why I'm just wondering.
well, then, no, they have multiple, they had multiple choices across those different categories. But for some of them, like for us, like for cyber, we're actually kind of the reverse. So for us, it's super easy for us to get property liability and casualty. It's really hard for us to get cyber. So we had like 7 that gave us property liability bids. We only got 2 for cyber. So it all kind of depends a little bit kind of on in the business that you're in.
And that's
But this
from-
is a pretty standard approach.
And that's from broker to broker though.
No, the broker basically goes out to all of the different
Yeah.
companies that have insurance products.
Mm-hmm.
And then they serve kind of on our behalf to basically say, tell us what you can do for this given year in terms of a premium and then kind of what
Yeah.
it gets you.
And
Yeah.
bottom line is, there are very few companies that will insure schools.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's not that Dale or that Choice
Yeah.
didn't go out and try to.
It's not a broker problem.
He couldn't get, no one would
Yeah.
fill out the application or apply for it.
And there's not like a co-op, like for health insurance where some schools like band together.
No, I can assure you, Amy is thorough. Dale Lockhealth is really thorough. We, of course, want to have the best policy for the lowest price. And Dale's local and works really hard for the school district to get us the best possible coverage.
Yeah, and EMC is very known in school insurance.
And they're very responsive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more questions or discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor of approving the property casual work comp insurance plan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Review and act on the Southwest Metro LTFM resolution.
So I just did one executive summary. So LTFM, the resolution enables Southwest Metro to levy dollars from their member districts for their LTFM maintenance needs, and we are a member of Southwest Metro. So the amount is determined by multiplying the total cost of the intermediate school district's long-term facility maintenance program times the percentage that weighs the two components of each member district's portion of the total special education tuition billing and vocational billing. This is done in lieu of issuing bonds, and also, it's also done in lieu of invoicing the districts for every repair or maintenance item that they need. So for this year's, for Southwest Metro Intermediate District for LTFM, now this is for a year out, because that's when the levies work. It's for fiscal year '25, and that amount will be $6,933.66
For our district.
for our district.
Yep. Mhm.
And that's so they're each a separate resolution.
Okay. So this is a resolution. So the resolution approving Southwest Metro Intermediate School District number 288's long-term facility maintenance program budget and authorizing the inclusion of a proportionate share of those projects in the district's application for long-term facility maintenance revenue in the amount of
$6,933.66 for fiscal year 2025.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Corinne, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jenny, questions?
So
Okay.
just to make sure I'm understanding this, we take a portion of that money and we give it to Southwest Metro for maintenance?
Yes, it comes right out of our levy dollars, yep, and they use it for their long-term facility maintenance, because they can't levy on their own.
And how do we get that percentage? Is it standard or?
It's based on the number of students that we have utilizing their facilities.
So other schools are also?
Yes, so like Norwood Young America, Waconia, Watertown Mare, Eastern Carver, Bloomington, Belle Plaine, Jordan, Prior Lake Savage, Shakopee, New Prague, Buffalo, Hanover, and Tri-City United. So the total amount of levy dollars that they'll receive in fiscal year '25 is $127,065, and that's from those area districts.
Okay. Any more questions?
Lauren just messaged her, she can't hear you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Sarah Lennon,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen, Molly Maniak,
Yes.
Rob Langheim,
Yes.
Corinne Hennon,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yes.
Deb Polly.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We have another resolution for Southwest Metros, and this is along the same line, and this is in regards to the safe schools.
Yep, so the Safe School levy dollars is calculated the same way as the LTFM dollars, and for the fiscal year '24-25, Jordan's amount will be $12,245.03. And they use these funds for their liaison officers that they have in their buildings and their security needs. So the total amount that they will get in fiscal year '25 is $224,400 from all the districts, and our portion is $12,245.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Sarah, is there a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Molly.
Molly? Okay, questions? Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Lauren Pedersen, Molly Maniak. Yes. Rob Langheim,
Yes.
Corinne Hennon,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes.
Sarah Lennon.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. MSHSL annual agreement.
So every year, our school district works with the MSHSL, and we enter into an agreement, a partnership. Deb, Polly, and I were required to fill out this form, in the last 2 weeks, I believe, and submit that. Every year annually, MSHSL creates a video called Why We Play and requests that board members watch that. In previous years, we've had board members watch that on their own. This year, the MSHSL has requested that boards watch it during their meeting, so we will watch it during our meeting. So.
You brought the popcorn?
I did not bring popcorn. That was a missed opportunity.
It's all about sportsmanship, right? Coaches coach, officials officiate, our players play, and our fans cheer. That is the partnership that we're looking forward to. It's all around safety, it's all around sportsmanship, but it's all around having a great time in our facilities.
The Minnesota State High School League is a dynamic partnership of more than 600 schools, reaching all communities and corners of the state. Our mission is to provide educational opportunities in fine arts and athletics for all students. Everything we do is focused on supporting, growing, and improving our students' experiences through activities. As we move into a new school year, our ongoing work is focused on 3 main efforts. Our top priority is to promote and support safe, respectful, and inclusive environments for participation and competition. We want all of our high schools to provide activities and events that are free from discrimination, harassment, and marginalization. That's why the Minnesota State High School League recently led a collaborative effort of 7 educational organizations across the state. Together We Make a Difference was designed to amplify the voices and advance the vision of our students to ensure respectful and safe schools and environments.
After attending the conference, I really hope that as a small school we're more inclusive and we include everybody, and that everybody gets to be involved and find what they enjoy. The code of conduct was basically treating everybody with respect, the same respect you want to receive. Being kind, not like being rude to somebody because they are not from the same background as you, like ethnics, religion, be inclusive.
It's important to feel safe because within that you're able to perform the way you want to and you're able to give the results you want to. In my personal opinion, when I'm not comfortable, I'm not giving all I can.
Playing in an environment where you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you're going to be playing at your best because you don't have to worry about other distractions.
It takes a team of dedicated adults to provide the kind of programming our students deserve. That's why we're focused on recruiting, retaining, and supporting our coaches, officials, and administrators.
As an education-based activities director, there's nobody more important than the coach or advisor for our students, whether it's in the fine arts or athletics, because we know that each child is one caring adult away from changing their path of their life.
If you look at or listen to any successful person talk about how they got there, they never did it alone. There's always a mentor, and so we need those types of leaders in our schools today to help our young people understand what it means to be a strong, supportive person within their community.
I enjoy officiating for the people. The people that I work with, the camaraderie with them is the thing that makes it enjoyable. There's coaches that make it enjoyable. There are students that make it enjoyable. We're somebody to help make the game better. We're there to make the athletic contest better.
We're always looking for new officials. I think just from gaining awareness and visibility on the role of officiating and how important it is. So definitely I encourage anybody that is interested in officiating to reach out, and we have a lot of resources and a team to help out.
Sometimes the most enduring lessons our students learn happen through activities beyond the classroom. So it's our goal to focus on enhancing the education of students through a broad range of opportunities that extend the traditional curriculum.
When alumni come and talk to me, the one thing I always hear is, they remember those big moments, but they also remember what led up to them. Everything that they've done to prepare and how those coaches and those experiences have helped prepare them.
These events and experiences will stay with our students for their entire life. The relationships that they build in these extracurricular arts and athletic activities, the competition, the sportsmanship that they learn, all of these things will help them be successful citizens, help them be successful employees, business owners, and just positive contributing members to society.
At the Minnesota State High School League, it's about more than membership, it's about partnership. Because when our member schools commit to common principles and expectations, we all share the responsibility to provide safe, respectful, and inclusive activities for all of our students.
To do our best for student athletes and participants, we need to be good partners to one another and collaborate with other schools and the Minnesota State High School League.
As school districts, we know our students best. We know our families and communities and caregivers best. And to partner with the State High School League is really to work collectively to make sure that everyone participating in these wonderful events has a safe, welcoming environment where they can thrive and be successful.
I'm just super excited about where we are and also where we can go and continuing to have these conversations to provide great high school experiences for kids.
Nothing is more important than the well-being of our students, and participation in activities is a great way to enhance our students' overall health.
I think it's really, really important that every high school student finds something to be involved in. Finding some way to get involved in your school and in your community is so important. It not only positively benefits your mental health, but helps you improve as a person, helps you grow, helps you make connections with other people.
These activities have helped shape who I am because it makes me understand the importance of being in something, and it has helped me for the future because these activities help you gain skills such as time management and communication.
Giving students these valuable opportunities is the mission of the Minnesota State High School League. And looking around the state this year, we've seen high participation numbers, packed venues, and enthusiastic support from school communities. And together, we have a bright future ahead. On behalf of the Minnesota State High School League, I want to thank everyone in all of our member schools for your continued active support, because it's about more than membership, it's about partnership.
That was a new one. That wasn't the old one. It's good. So we will take action. We do have a resolution in front of us on the board packet for membership in the Minnesota State High School League. And it, verifies that we watched the video and verifies that we are choosing to remain a member of the high school league, and just validating our membership and our belief in, their rules and regulations. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Molly, is there a second?
I'll second.
Jen? Okay, questions, discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Molly Maniak,
Yes.
Rob Langheim,
Yes.
Corinne Hennon,
Yes.
Jenny Kuski,
Yes.
Deb Polly,
Yes.
Sarah Lanen,
Yes.
Lauren Pedersen.
Thank you. Motion carries. And next, we have our legislative update. Thank you for your patience, Representative Bakeberg.
Still not used to that title. Actually, I don't like it. So, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight. Before I jump into it, I want to recognize Senator Eric Pratt. He was planning on being here tonight. His mother passed away last night, so he is in Texas, taking care of his family where he should be. So I just wanted to publicly recognize him and really thank him for his work, not only for our community, but the entire district. So obviously my name is Representative Ben Bakeberg. It's kind of weird to be here. I'm just going to name the elephant in the room. So to wear my representative hat, but it truly is a pleasure to serve the people of 54B at the House. and to be here tonight, also to give you a perspective on the legislative session as a representative, but then also as a building principal, because that's really the perspective that I brought every day to the Capitol. And when we would be discussing a bill or whatever topic, that was the lens that I looked at. I tried to look at it from how is this going to impact, and I said it a lot, when I go back to school on May 24th or May 23rd, how is this going to impact, and how am I going to have to implement this? And I thought a lot about you guys, to be honest, and how are you going to have to implement this? And then I thought about the teachers and the cooks and the custodians and the paras, and how are they going to have to impact these things or implement these things? So I'm going to give you just a legislative update here. On the back side, it'll be a talking point, but before I jump into it, I want to really thank you for your service as a school board member. I said this last week when I was at Shakopee. I think your job as a school board member, and I was just down at City Hall, and their job is hard too, but I think as a school board member, you and I told them I'm a little biased, obviously, but I think you have one of the most difficult elected official positions. When I make a decision in St. Paul, it may or may not impact 54B, to be honest, depending on what we're deciding. But every single decision that you make, it impacts your kids, your grandkids, your friends' kids. And when you make a hard decision and you go to Rademacher's to get groceries, you're often stopped to discuss those hard decisions. And, hey, do you have a second? Probably means that your kids go to the car, or your spouse goes to the car, and maybe they come back in about an hour and pick you up. So I just want to say thank you for your work as a school board member, and I think I can speak for myself just as an administrator. We have an amazing board, if I can put that hat back on. Very, very supportive of not only our staff, and when I talk about staff, I mean every person that works for the district, but most importantly our kids. You guys have the right perspective. So I want to thank you too for your partnership. You guys emailed a lot, and every once in a while when Superintendent Evenson would email me and she'd be advocating for a position, I would respond with maybe 1 or 2 words just to let her know where I was at. But I want to encourage you to continue to advocate for the district, because it does make a difference. You may think I know where Ben is at, I know where Ben is on this issue. And please call me Ben. Don't call me representative. But please continue to advocate, not only to me, but to Senator Pratt and the other elected officials. So the session has come to an end, and it's probably fitting that I'm following Amy giving that update, because quite frankly, we don't know the short-term and the long-term implications of this session, and we won't know it for quite some time. I think I want to be transparent. There are a number of components within the Education Omnibus Bill that are going to benefit kids, and that has to be our focus. There are a number of things that are going to benefit kids, they're going to benefit staff, and they're going to benefit school districts. And I want to take the time to really recognize those things, because we have to get back to a place where we can disagree on topics, but not be disagreeable. And I can have a robust debate and discussion about a topic with someone, but it doesn't mean that I'm an evil person or fill in the adjective. It just means that we have different perspectives and experiences. So I want to take a few minutes, and I just want to highlight some of the good things that happen within the session. So you've heard a lot about the historic investments in education. That is the task, quite frankly, that all of you are tasked to answer. And that's a difficult task, because out in the public, people have heard historic investments in education. They have heard, whatever description, free lunch, free meals, not understanding the ramifications of all of that stuff, so that when they still incur lunch debt because they're having extra entree or seconds, those questions are going to have to be answered. So we had a $2.2 billion target, which is historic. There's never been a $2.2 billion target for education. The challenge, I would say, is with just under 40% of our budget being education, we had a $17.5 billion surplus after some inflationary games that we played. It's closer to $20 billion, really. But a $2.2 billion budget, we better have had that much of a target. So if we were in line with where our current spending is, the education budget or the education target would have been closer to $6 billion. Not saying that's what it should have been, because there are other needs across the state. So we had a 4% and a 2% formula increase. That's indexed to inflation with a cap at 3%. So there's a 40% cross subsidy. You guys you know what that means. There's the increase in English language learner funding. That's good. We've made some investments in literacy with the READ Act. And when I've talked about the literacy investments, I've really talked about it and compared it to investments in roads and bridges. Because if kids can read, well, the job of educating them becomes so much easier for not only the educator, but more importantly, that kid. That kid is going to be able to access text. It said kids learn to read K through 3, and they read to learn the rest of their life. So investments in literacy was really important. There was one of the highlights of the session for me was during an education policy. I had to think about where I was sitting during this testimony and which committee it was. But we had a 99-year-old Holocaust survivor come in and testify. And her stories were amazing. You may have saw it on the news, but Representative Frank Hornstein is from Minneapolis, and he brought a bill, and it's part of the omnibus bill, about Holocaust and indigenous education genocide. I think that is critical to the future of our kids, that we understand, former social studies teacher coming out, we understand our past so that we don't repeat it in our future. And it's not divisive. It's not pitting groups against each other. That's the important thing. It's not doing a pitting against each other, but educating kids that they understand what has happened in the past so we don't repeat it in the future. And I believe Rep. Hornstein's bill, he's the chair of the Transportation Committee too, who he was instrumental in getting funding for 169, 282, another topic. But just that powerful testimony really was a good thing. Funding for mental health, there was investments in mental health, but many of the things that I just talked about, although they were good investments and good starts, they often came with strings and strings attached. And the easiest way I've described it to some people at graduation parties is, because they'll be like, Ben, so much money went to education. And I'm like, you're right. I said, but the simplest comparison is, Mrs. Kuski, if I give you $1,000, I'm going to tell you how to spend 900 of it. Okay? You can spend the other 100 however you want, but I'm going to tell you how to spend 900 of it. So there are also several concerning provisions within the Education Omnibus Bill that limits the funding and the flexibility for you. I truly believe, and if you listen to any of the discussions, whether in committee or on the floor, you heard funding and flexibility and you heard local control. Because you know way better than I do, or a representative from northern Minnesota who's in the same party as me, you know way better what Jordan needs than someone outside of our district. And if I could sum up the session as a whole, from an education standpoint, it is taking the power away from local school boards and saying, we know better than you do. And that is gravely concerning to me. So there are over 65 mandates. If you want the list, I can provide you the list. But there are over 65 mandates within the Education Omnibus Bill. There are new curriculum requirements within those mandates. You know, one of the things that a common frustration that I've heard is that schools, that the legislature feels like they know better than local school boards. And I've talked about that, but there's that theme I kept hearing from school board members and just regular people across the state. Like, Ben, why do you think, or why does the legislature think they know better than a school board in, you know, Cambridge, Isanti? So very concerning there. There were a number of school discipline mandates. Now, I want to be very transparent that it could have been a lot worse. It literally went down to the end, and some of the most egregious pieces were backed out. But there is a prohibition on suspension of K-3 students. So students in grades kindergarten through third grade cannot be suspended from school. So if you hear, you know, a kid said a racial slur, that's something that would typically result in a suspension, regardless of the grade level, and that kid's back in class, it's because of this. So I think it's important that as a school board, you know and understand that so that you can, you know, answer those questions. Also, recess detention was prohibited. You can't use recess detention as a tool. And I think probably the most frustrating part, and I'll just name, this was a very frustrating piece to me. We had multiple principals testify on the discipline procedures, but two of them were the principals of the year. One was from Northfield, one was from St. Michael Albertville. She happened to be one of my mentors, an amazing principal. And they both talked about how little suspension is actually used at the elementary level, but it is a tool that they need really to give kids a break. The kid who is in crisis, to be able to give that kid a break. And it's also one of the tools that principals use to get parents to the table to be able to be a partner. Well, that tool was taken away from elementary principals, and that's frustrating, and that's disappointing. The other piece, you may have heard about this, is menstrual products will now be in 4th grade through 12th grade bathrooms. Well, when I walk over to the Jordan Elementary, we don't have 4th grade bathrooms. So that means we will have menstrual products in all bathrooms, K through 12. And I think the piece of this, where this started, it started from a group of students who are advocating for needs. And that's a good thing. We want kids to advocate, but we want them to advocate to come to their local school board and address it at their local school board. And to be blunt, we've already addressed this issue. Principals across Minnesota, I can't think of one right now that I've talked to that thinks that this is a good idea. It's going to create custodial issues. It's going to create a host of other issues. But at a very basic level, we've already solved this as school staff. They go to our counselor, they go to our health office. So if a young girl gets her period at school, that is a traumatizing experience. So going to the nurse or going to the counseling area is the best way to address that.
Ben, does it have to be in the bathroom? Like in the actual physical bathroom? Like it couldn't be like in the office or like, because that's where we currently keep ours, is like in our offices, and kids just come in all the time and grab what they need. And
Yep, it's when you read the statute, it talks about a locally developed plan, but they have to have access in the restroom. So, yeah, so that's, you know, and your district has already figured it out as well. So, and that's just an example of of a mandate. And I think just big picture, it's putting local school boards in the middle of a divisive situation that just isn't necessary. So I think to the public hearing this, these guys didn't make the decision. This was the legislature, and I didn't vote for this for sure. The other thing is unemployment insurance. And I want to step back and just think about, my mom was a para. So she worked as a paraprofessional because she wanted to be on the same schedule as us, as the three of us boys. So, but the unemployment insurance for hourly workers, the intent of it is good to provide for our workers. But the frustrating part is this started on May 28th. We already planned for summer school. Even before I went to the legislature, we were starting to plan for summer school. And I talked all about the concern about how, the financial concern of this long term, but also just the planning and providing for kids. And then that discussion fell on deaf ears. So while the intent is good, the long-term implication of the unemployment insurance for hourly workers is, we'll work through this year, so it'll address the issue of this summer school cycle. But I have significant concerns about the long-term financial implications of that legislation. No one really knows. To be completely frank, no one knows what that cost is going to be. There's $135 million put into to fund this. That could be gone after this summer. And that it's about 2% on the formula. So the 4 and 2% on the formula that the state gave could be 4 and 0 right now. And I'll talk about how that actually could go even lower in a little bit. There were $51 million sent to nonprofits. Some of those are good nonprofits. I'll just name. Some of those are really, really good organizations doing great work. And then there was about $33 million to the Department of Education. That's a 21% increase in the Department of Education's budget. For no other reason, I would have voted no to that bill. There's a lot of reasons why I voted no, but a 21% increase in the department's budget is, it's unsustainable. And then that means almost 50 new staff at the department. Then, to continue the good news, outside of the education bill, there's a terms and conditions of employment that's mandated within the labor bill that I believe is only going to create more division between school boards and staff. Earned sick and safe time was House File 19. That, coupled with paid family medical leave in House File 2, is at least another % on the formula. So that 4% and 2%, you factor in the unemployment, if it's in year 2, if that money, the $135 million is used up, you're at 4% and 0. Then you factor in paid family medical leave, which doesn't start until 26. The district is at a 4%, and this is really important for people in the community to understand. The district could very easily be at 4% and -1% next year. And then for the educators out there, there was little investment in pension. And I'm going to leave that at that. There's a lot of discussion about educator pension. And there was little investment, and there was really no discussion about pension reform until the last few weeks of the session. So my party has been, frankly, has not done a good job talking about education. And I made it one of my missions to advocate not for administrators, not for teachers, but for kids. And when you advocate for kids, everyone else benefits from it, but that was my sole focus going into it. So on that session wrap, you will see a counter proposal. And we had a number, the majority of the GOP signed on to the bill. I was the chief author of it. And what we did is we took the $2.2 billion target and we said, okay, this is how we would spend this target. So the new money on the bottom line for schools with the GOP plan is $2 billion versus the DFL was 1.7. Our formula increase was 5 and 5. The difference is ours is not indexed to inflation. So there's, just to be transparent, there's a difference there. We had 50% or about $73 million to address the cross subsidy of special ed. It's important, I believe, that we do not fully fund the cross subsidy for special ed at the state level for two reasons, two primary reasons. The first one is that's a federal requirement. And if we at the state level bail out the federal government, they will never uphold their end of the bargain. So that's the first reason that I felt we needed to stay at 50%. And then the second reason is, as an administrator, one of my jobs is to be in an IEP meeting and advocate for a free and appropriate public education, FAPE. That appropriate piece is sometimes where the differences come into play in those meetings. Well, it's my role to facilitate those conversations and help those conversations about that appropriate piece, because we can spend a lot but not make an impact on student achievement. So that's a piece of it at the local level where there's some responsibility. The feds aren't holding up their bargain, so at the state level we pick that up as well. I want to highlight the difference between the Safe School funding. We put $78 million into Safe Schools, and it gave districts the funding, and the funding most importantly, and then the flexibility at the board table to decide how you spend that. The $64 million from the DFL plan was limited to new staff, and you can go back and look at what has happened the last couple of years, but it's limited to that. And probably the most significant difference is the investment in literacy, the science of reading. We invested $250 million into the science of reading based off of the numbers that both partisan and nonpartisan staff ran. We felt like that was a good number to really address the issues from a reading standpoint. Less than half of our kids in Minnesota read at grade level. So we have to invest in the resources because school districts don't have the money to buy new reading curriculums. So we needed to invest in resources and training, professional development of our staff so that they could be meeting the needs of kids in the classroom. And we had two mandates within the Republican bill. One was civics. If you know Dean Erdahl, he is passionate about civics. He's a former social studies teacher, believes that civics should be taught in the junior or senior year. So that's one of the mandates. The second one is the science of reading. We unashamedly believe that we should be investing in the science of reading. So phonics, think of it that way. Look at states across the country that are implementing the science of reading, and then also districts locally that are doing it. They are seeing very good growth in reading scores. You can see the staff for MDE. I talked about the mandate difference, and I talked about the other pieces on there as well. So as you can see from the chart, the GOP plan puts substantially more money on the formula, leaves out the mandates. And I think this is the important piece for you to know. Based on the data from nonpartisan staff, this isn't a Republican, it's not from a Democrat, it's nonpartisan research staff, Jordan schools would have received about $525 more per pupil over the 2-year biennium. It's important to know it's over the 2-year biennium, which is about just under $1 million, $950,000 more under the Republican plan. So our plan would have given you significantly more funding, flexibility for you to decide what you needed here. And I think the bottom line is Republican, Democrat, I could care less your politics. We need to work together to be able to come up with solutions that work for Jordan, that give you as board members the local control to make decisions that are best. I'm going to kind of go off script a little bit. There was a lot of discussion at the Capitol, and an article just came out, I think it was on Friday, from Denise Specht, the head of the executive director of Education Minnesota. And it specifically said there is plenty of money if you spend it right. And the divisiveness that type of rhetoric brings, in my opinion, is unacceptable. So I think it's important that our teachers understand the facts and move through the political dynamics of all of that stuff. What Amy just laid out, those are facts, okay? And when we as leaders spin rhetoric like that, it only creates division at the local level and is not helpful. The other thing I want to address is a few have said that Republicans would not have the same target. And I heard it a lot at the Capitol. Ben, you don't understand. Your colleagues would never do that. So when I drafted the bill for what I just walked through, there's 35 slots on the bill. I walked in, I presented it to our caucus. It was full like that. We had to do a clone bill. So frankly, I just don't believe it. And the other thing I would say is there are 25 new members, and education is my #1 priority. And I will continue to fight to be able to provide resources to districts to make decisions that help kids and meet their local needs. I've been in education my whole career. Many of it's been here in Jordan. Educators go into education because they love kids. That's it. They don't go into it to get in the middle of divisive politics. I look forward to working with you, regardless of your political affiliation, to be focused on what is going to be best for kids and to support our educators each and every day. So with that, thank you, and I'd answer any questions.
I just want to thank you, Ben. I have to admit that I sat up many nights watching Channel 2 live, watching the sessions on the floor, and I also, the day that you presented at AMSD was powerful. And I had a call from several of my associates across the state from both parties saying how impressed they were with your collaborative spirit and with the things that you're doing at the legislature. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I know it's not an easy job down there, and this is to be continued. We've got a lot of unknowns ahead of us, and just keep fighting for us.
One thing I forgot to mention at the start, Rose is here, and I just need to recognize her for the work that she did. She did a fantastic job. So, yeah.
She did. Yes.
And then I'd like to just the middle school staff is amazing. They truly, none of us are perfect. We're all far from perfect, but they truly have the mindset. And I would say that across our district. People have the mindset, they went into education because they love kids. And I think the thing that got me the most fired up is both sides of the aisle when they'd start attacking educators. And there were a couple times that I would get a text like, just breathe. But when people go after educators, people do it because they want to serve kids. So there's a lot of other ways to make money. But, the staff does a great job, and then the admin team and people picking up the slack, I really appreciated that. And then to you as a board, I'm sure some of you have caught some flack possibly. So I think hopefully it was, kids weren't impacted, and hopefully my perspective was able to benefit not only the community of Jordan, but our whole area. So.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you think the next session looks like? Now, this was a bonding, and the next one is?
Yeah, so, one thing, just before I jump into that, So Brad Tapke is the representative from Shakopee. He's the vice chair of the Transportation Committee. So I want to I just did at the city, but I want to publicly recognize Representative Tapke, and then also Chair Hornstein. He's the chair of the Transportation Committee. I had multiple conversations with both of them, and Chair Hornstein actually stayed at the Nicollet Mansion, ate at the tap room, and the last $9.1 million of funding for 169 and 282 was in the transportation bill. So, that is huge. When I started teaching here 22 years ago, there was talk about that. So that is a huge piece for the community. Now, I joked at the city, I said, well, I didn't know I'd have to drive to Prior Lake to come to Jordan from my house with the detour, but even the interchange, or the roundabout at Sawmill and 21 is gonna be a good thing. So this was the money and the bonding year, so next session will be very policy heavy. We don't go back until February 12th, I believe it is. And you know, there's talk about some of the things that are already coming. You know, I've heard a multitude of things. I won't, don't want to go into it because it's a lot of speculation, but you know, there will be, from an education standpoint, I have a number of bills that are in the works that will continue to push those forward. So yeah, it'll be a policy-heavy year. Probably, you know, the DFL had 40 priority items, and all of those were ticked off the list. So we'll see what the plan is moving forward.
So, like the cannabis issue is obviously going to be a huge issue for the school district and the city. So like they'll be working probably through some of the policy things in relation, which they should have done before they passed the bill, in my opinion, but hindsight, so those kinds of things will be hopefully addressed. And
yeah, so we were at Scale on Friday, and Representative Tapke, he said it well. He said, well, next session, we'll fix the things that we screwed up, and then we'll address some of the other policy pieces that were priorities. And, and that's with anything that you do. You get into it, you figure it out. Oh, that's not working the way that I intended it to work. So that'll be 5 years, 10 years, especially with that one. So. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if all the money gets spent like in the first year, like you kind of talked about, and then it would be like a deficit for the next year, can they, during your working session, is it like you can't put more money towards it?
Well, the majority can decide kind of whatever they want to do, but they have to, the targets have been set and spent.
Yeah.
So there would have to be a workaround around that.
So if they're like, oh man, like we overshot, like we're going to be like negative, they could potentially reallocate or give money.
They could potentially do a lot of things. They could raise taxes more.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So.
I was just curious, like, yeah, okay.
The money's spent, so they would have to get it from somewhere.
Yep. They'd have to generate revenue, or they'd have to, there's a lot of different ways to make the targets work or adjust the targets, from what I understand.
well, thank you very, very much. Yes, thanks for all you
All right.
do.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Back to Prior Lake now?
Yeah.
If you just park down there and just like walk, it might
Yeah.
actually be.
Apparently someone did drive their car under the bridge.
Oh.
On the path?
On the path.
Oh my God, it's fine.
Did they get picked up?
Just park in Lagoon, bring a bike.
They already had said that, yes, we
Wow. Okay, on to superintendent report, please.
All
Yep.
right.
Can I have a point of order? Can we take a 2-minute bathroom break? Okay.
sure.
Okay, so quick break.
Yeah,
So you gather your thoughts.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
cut it by 50%.
Here's my report as presented. Do you have any questions?
I read it, so no, I don't.
Oh, good.
That might be it. Do you have any questions?
That's why we do pre-reads at work. We don't go through this stuff. We do pre-reads and then we say, do you have any questions?
Oh, my gosh. Oh, you've all had really good questions tonight. It's been good.
I don't think Deb realized that we all got these.
Oh, yeah.
Because you passed, she was like, hey, I got one too. Oh, I'm.
My chair is broken. Every time I go to sit back, I like.
Well, that was Renee's, so then she swapped
That,
it
yeah,
out.
I
But not
swapped it out.
yours.
Yeah.
No.
I promise it wasn't.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Rose, you're awesome.
Isn't she?
Rose, you're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much for the opportunity.
Yeah. We love us some Rose.
I want to know who drove under the van. That is scary though,
I
because
think
that like
yeah,
freaks
that's
me out.
brilliant and terrible at the same time.
Yeah.
Brilliant and terrible.
It's like, I got a great idea.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, it's okay.
We had a weather delay in Dallas.
Oh.
Oh.
Which everyone is laughing because it's a fair trip. It's like they need to say and Spain.
Yeah, they do.
To Paris.
That made me
I've
laugh.
heard that so many times.
I know. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, superintendent's report.
All right, any questions? No, I'm just kidding. They told me to do it. No, I just have a couple of highlights. I know you've all read my report and it's attached, so anybody can read the report, but I just want to say, our school year did end with some highs and some definite lows. You know, losing a student was, that's the absolute worst thing that we can navigate. So I just want to, you know, again, publicly share my, you know, condolences with the family, with everyone that was involved. I mean, those are really challenging things, heartbreaking. But I want to also really thank our school community, amazing support from our school community, our emergency response team. They were wonderful. Our teachers were wonderful. You know, the sheriff's department, Jordan PD, everyone was so supportive. So I just want to publicly recognize that, you know, in these really, really hard times, there's a lot of gratitude there for the amount of support that we have for our kids. So, you know, I think it's important just to note that. You know, it's a busy time right now. It's summer. When I started the meeting, I was, I think, visiting, I don't remember if it was, I was saying it to Deb, but it's June 12th and it feels like school's going to start in 5 minutes. So the summers fly by. I feel like June's halfway over already. As everyone can see, it's construction season. The abatement work from 2022 is well underway. Pretty exciting. You know, working through, anytime you work through construction, there are little surprises that happen. A fiber line that wasn't marked on any map anywhere could pop out at you. A deer could get stuck in the fence, and the whole admin team and CERC could save it this morning, for example. You know, there are all kinds of things that can happen. So I appreciate everyone's flexibility and teamwork. With that, but honestly, in August, it's going to be amazing when these 2022 abatement projects are done. So much gratitude for the teams working on that. And in terms of referendum building projects and that, we're making some headway with the input and feedback. We have an oversight committee meeting tomorrow, I believe in this room, and we'll be looking at some finer details as they start to narrow in on design, and we get into one more round of input and feedback. So I hope in July to have more information for the full board and some actual tangible things for you. So very exciting. It's moving really fast, but very thorough. So very excited about that, and we'll keep you in the loop. So any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we have all of the other administrative teams' reports. Any questions or comments or anything on any of them? I just want to say that I always really appreciate the time they put into their reports and keeping us updated on what's going on and how important that is for us as a board. Okay, school board member reports and committee reports. Let's start with the committee reports. Budget finance, I think we kind of nailed that one tonight. Calendar did not meet city school. We had a meeting tonight. Sarah, you want to tackle that?
We continued the discussions about the roundabouts, the 2 roundabouts that would be located out here. They brought the information in regards to the safety of roundabouts, because that was our concerns that we had, whether or not, roundabouts is that the right solution for these locations. I think we had really good discussions. I think there's a plan in place that's already been decided to move forward with those. So what we really wanted to do is just understand and partner with the city on how do we educate, how do we ensure that we have collaborative communication out to our families, out to the community in regards to when that's going to occur, and ensuring that we got all of the safety information that we were requesting. So we are able to discuss that as well. Renee or Deb, do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, we talked about the question of crossing guards came up, so they're going to investigate that further to see if, how that plays into the whole roundabout piece.
Isn't that a part of their study, though?
It
Shouldn't
was,
be?
it was not.
It was not.
It was not.
So the Minnesota State Patrol really
yes.
takes the lead on crossing guard
Yeah.
information and training. And so the question that we had was, what's typical protocol for crossing guards with roundabouts? Because it's very clear what the protocol typically is for your regular intersection. And so that's something that we'll be working with Minnesota State Patrol on what they typically see.
And there was an option for
But
them.
that study
Yep.
for the patrol, that it's viewed as safer than what the
Yeah.
alternatives are. We
Yeah.
just
Yes.
need to be able to understand what that is.
We need to understand
Yes.
what that looks like. We talked even about I forget what those special lights are called.
They're the blinking lights that you press when you cross, there was a,
The
Yeah.
one like they have down here by Benko's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll be installing those, what are they called?
a pedestrian flashing beacon.
A flash.
So there was an option to be added, and then there was alignment that they will be added. I think there was also determination on, again, the design isn't finalized, but how many crosswalks there would actually be, because there could be proposed up to 4, but is it really needed, or do we want more concentration of people in, just a couple areas, as opposed to having to worry about 4 crosswalks in a half-block radius, right?
And I think the last thing to note is that we have our own civil engineer with ISG as part of our project. And so they will be working with the city and Kraus Anderson as well to make sure that we're in a good place. And the other thing that the
And the
city.
city's open to that?
Oh, 100%.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It works best for all of us for that. They also expressed that if it was our wish, they would take the lead on any communication with community and all of that as well.
Yep.
Regarding the safety protocols, they felt very comfortable doing that. And then also, I think the last time that we talked about this at the board report level, there was the question, we knew that it was happening, but there was the question, would there be city funds attached to it? And they had shared with us on Friday that there would be, that they had intended to have some investment in the resurfacing of this road coming forward, and so they will allocate that amount, which is very, very aligned to what we had talked about in 2019 in terms of a dollar amount. So they would do that, and then also that it would be assessed over a 15-year period at a lower rate than their typical bond costs. So they will keep it as low as possible. So I'll look up the exact wording and show it to you. I'm summarizing.
Yeah.
Did they talk about, like, if the roundabout, how some of the roundabouts have, like, the high middle area with, like, versus like the lower ones, like down at.
The
These
plan
would be
is for-
minis.
Mini,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
We talked about that the last time. That was a concern that we
You
had.
could need that for trucks. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they call them compact. right?
Yes,
Well,
the
and to
com-
like see too, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about,
They'll be
Yeah.
compact.
okay, sweet.
Yep. So,
And we also talked about, actually, the city council is addressing it at their meeting tonight. We had brought up the issue with, I sat in on a MSBA board chair thing the other day, and one of the questions came up that many districts are working collaboratively with the city to have no cannabis zones, like 1,000 feet, fields and stuff away from schools and stuff. So actually, they're having that discussion tonight, and they're planning on voting on requesting a moratorium to
Moratorium.
2025.
yep.
So-
Yep, they're looking for schools, preschools, daycares to kind of have zoning around that and codes around that.
So it's
How
been-
about for tobacco, don't
Policy regarding that?
Pardon me?
So would we create our own policy?
We can't, the city, this would be a city issue.
do they
we
have that?
do, however,
But-
have many policies related to, I don't think they call it cannabis, they had a different word for it, but cannabis, and many other chemical
Yep.
products. They were all adopted newly last August, so.
So I think the issue for us is gonna be, and MSBA will be working on policy for this, is, you know, I mean, there's not really a test to test if, how high you are or whatever, so it's gonna be a learning curve all the way around for, you know, some staff come in.
Well, and
Or whatever,
for us,
and-
it's anytime someone has any action that looks like impairment. It's like
Yes.
a student that, not that this would ever happen, but, you know, is that water in your water bottle or straight vodka? Like, you have to look for impairment and signs, and then, of course, we can have different conversations, but we approach it like that. Same thing with gummies, same thing with, you know, all of that.
The
It's-
gummies,
it's
the gummies
wild.
are scary.
They're
That's
scary.
Very scary,
Yeah, it's wild,
yeah.
not amazing.
So anyway, it's good that we're partnering with the city, that
Yep.
the city is aware and concerned also.
Do they have like a rule with tobacco in the distances of like, like I know we have like a tobacco-free campus, you know, but does the city have anything like with that either?
No, it's just tobacco-free campus.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're solely looking at just like cannabis and not,
But I think legislatively, I think there was language in it about schools,
okay.
distances with that.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Community ed rec, Corinne?
We did not meet. I think we meet next Monday.
Okay, curriculum and tech has not met, facilities has not met, meet and confer has not met, negotiations has not met, but I'm guessing that will probably be ramping up here. Policy,
Next
you wanna
week.
talk about that a little bit, how we're, yeah.
So, all right, so when you think about policy, many of you, some of you won't remember this, but some of you will remember this, that every summer, we get a whole list of policies that are our annuals that we just review. So we will have the annuals coming up. The other piece is we have a stack, and I'm not exaggerating, like this thick, of policy updates that have zero updates to the language of the policy. It's all like spelling out the word Minnesota, or changing like the way they type the references and notes. So for those, we have a huge stack that we're gonna have to get through. And then we're also waiting on whatever policies come out of the legislative session. So, we'll be meeting, I've moved it back now 3 times, I think, because we're still waiting on some of this. But we'll be meeting this summer, and likely in August, you're gonna have a gazillion policies, but just know, like, 30 of them are zero updates at all, except for how they're referenced, and little things like spelling out Minnesota versus MN.
I do know that what happened at the legislature greatly impacts policy, and that Terry Morrow at MSBA literally is working on dozens and dozens and dozens of policies, updating them to conform with the new legislation. And a lot of them take effect new school year.
Yeah.
So we will have to be acting on those
Yeah.
ASAP.
August will be busy.
August will be very busy, yeah. So that'll be a busy meeting, so.
Do we get like a cheat sheet for that?
No. I wish you did, but no.
Like, here's like the
They'll be all linked in board book, but
Yeah.
what I'll do, Elise and I work really closely on this. So we'll have the whole annotated list, like policies, 1 through whatever, are just references. So it's nothing in terms of how the policy is written. So that way you'll know that you can just kind of glance at those. But we'll be able to list, these are the ones you should read, and these are the high points.
Yeah, so that'll probably be a 500-plus page board package.
That's fine. I was just curious, like, is this gonna be a Minnesota, like MN to Minnesota, or
Like,
is this like an
yeah,
actual,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're changing?
You'll
We'll
note that on
differentiate
the-
that,
Yeah, yeah.
But you can, that'll be some reading by the pool,
Right.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
APAC met last week, and basically they were working through some end-of-the-year budgeting, and some of the things that they did in honor of the student that we lost. They're having a very large drum, custom-made in his memory. That will be part of the Native culture events, so. Other than that, that was about it. Booster Club, Sarah?
Booster
Rob?
did not meet. Do you have any, we didn't meet, so I don't know if you had anything on the side
And
that
we
you knew.
just- We're fortunate to get a bunch of money this month, so happy about that.
Yeah,
All right.
Ed Foundation?
They don't meet till July.
Okay, legislative, we heard that tonight. MSHSL, I had a 2AA region meeting today, so I've got a little bit of info. So Belle Plaine and Norwood Young America had petitioned to join Wright County Conference. They were denied,
8 to 6 and 8 to 6.
so
Too bad.
I don't know where
You need a
they'll.
3/4
Yeah.
majority to move in, so they can apply to other conferences. If they get rejected, then the high school league can place them where they want them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
They can go randomly, because River Valley is getting dissolved, right?
Right,
I think the Big
right.
South is an option for some. I think that's what they're calling it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it. I don't know.
Our region revenues are down considerably from 166,000 to about 66,000, and a lot of that is because during COVID, they used local sites for a lot of the section playoffs and stuff, and last year they used Gustavus a lot, and Gustavus is very expensive. So that cost a lot of money, along with, believe it or not, a lot of the tournaments and section games and stuff, the revenue was down because the attendance was down. So they're kind of trying to work through that. Cross-country, next year will probably not be at St. Olaf.
Oh.
It looks like they're moving to the U of M. That's tentative, but it's really looking very likely that they're going there. I do have the list of all the tournament and section dates. They formed a seating committee at the league. They're going to evaluate and change how all the seating takes place for tournaments. So that'll be interesting to see how that comes out. The shot clock, that takes effect this fall. So they're going to be going away with the 1, 2, the 5 count thing, and they're going to be relying on the shot clocks for that. There was some discussion on how the districts, different districts, their process for choosing plays in the district, and also review of books in their districts. So that was just an interesting discussion. Yeah, so it was a good meeting. Scale?
I skipped scale to go to state track, but I know that they had a legislative update. I think Angie Craig zoomed into the meeting, and then local legislators attended and kind of gave the rundown of the last session.
SEAC? Nope. Southwest Metro, we did approve a sale agreement with Eastern Carver County to buy the East Union School as a level 4 setting. So it'll pretty much mirror our River Valley building over here. It'll be the same kind of programming, pretty much. That was the biggest highlight of that meeting, so.
Deb, is the shot clock boys and girls basketball?
I believe so.
I think it is.
think
We
so.
implemented it last year. We ordered it a year early just so we could kind of get used to it.
Never used it, but we have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the
used it one
truth.
game when I was there, because I was like, why is there a shot clock? 'Cause I had no idea.
Yeah, there were, I
That was
mean, there were
boys,
some
though.
games, but.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing, the league formed a committee to study where boys volleyball, if it's going to fall, spring or fall.
Will we, do we have the Title IX capabilities to have that now?
That would be a Joe question.
It would be a Joe question, but honestly, I don't think so.
I don't think we do, because that was kind of why they weren't adding
Yeah.
boys tennis.
Yep.
Because we didn't have the Title IX.
Yeah,
Title
I
IX
don't, I
piece.
think it would have an impact if we did that we'd have to make some decisions.
But it'll be interesting. We kind of went around the table and the consensus was they thought it would end up being a spring sport, but we'll see. See what the league does. Okay, individual reports. Sarah, we'll start with you.
I just cannot believe it's the end, like school's over, graduation, everything. It was already a couple weeks ago. And here we are, you know, Renee, you saying that we'll be back, you know.
I'm
I'm
sorry, I
serious
didn't mean to
though.
stress
It's
you out, but
like,
I feel that
no,
way.
but I really feel that way and we will. So I just want everyone to enjoy their summer, enjoy their time with their families.
It's been 10 days, 10 days.
No, but it really, I can tell you what I'm doing every weekend between now and like the end of the year. So like, really. But just enjoy, I just want everyone to enjoy and take time to do the things that make them happy and bring them joy.
Thank you.
So,
Molly?
Congratulations to our track athletes.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
state champions. That's pretty cool. No, everything else is busy, like everybody else. So it's going good though. So nothing else really big.
Good.
Yeah, congratulations to all the graduating seniors, and congratulations to staff for another successful year, and everyone enjoy summer.
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah, golf tomorrow morning.
Yeah, golf.
If I can find my way to Ridges.
Again, park and walk. I think that's the best.
No, you can take the back road. I did it this morning, and you take like the dirt road, and then yeah.
Yeah,
comes out right
Councilman
by.
Whip said, take Aberdeen and then turn on a gravel road. Perfect. I don't know which one.
Awesome. So, well planned out, perfect.
Put
Just
it
take
in
the golf
Google.
cart.
Live over there, they can't
Holiday and Broadway, their car washes are gonna be
Right.
broken
Yes.
down.
But to be fair, that roundabout, once it's in place, is going to be amazing.
Yes. it will.
Very long overdue, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And safer.
oh my goodness.
Corinne?
Busy, yes. I was gonna say state track, state golf, roundabouts, parking lots. The T-ball, the other one just finished basketball, gymnastics. Graduation was cool for me. Had never been there, so I've been here for 10 years, and so just to see the support from the community and the kids and how that all worked out was really cool, and to be a part of it. The staff breakfast, I really enjoyed that, and just again, same thing, being able to be a part of it, and talked to a few teachers, and one of them had said to me, like, this doesn't happen in other districts. This appreciation that we get in Jordan, from the admin, from the board, coming from other schools, it just wasn't there. So it says a lot just to the
hear.
district, and how much that means to the staff too. So, yeah, that was really nice to hear. One thing I was bummed about is because I was sick forever, I missed the concerts. I think some people probably got to go, but I was looking forward to those, so hopefully next year. But, so yeah, just busy like everyone else, but it's only 10 days since the kids came home, so everyone just calm down.
All right.
I mean, 10 days, my kids have been home for 4 days. Okay, help, but we're gonna make it.
Lots of play dates. I'm like, who can play
Yeah.
today? And well, I don't know. We're just like in summer kickoff now because yeah, I don't know. It's just kids' activities for the next few weeks, swimming lessons. I think I have like every day almost planned. We go on vacation, so I'll miss the next board meeting. I don't know, so that'll be exciting. But that I'm going on. It's our first family vacation, first plane rides for the kids. Like they're pumped, they're jazzed about it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Good. Okay, a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Renee and the whole staff, the admin team and the whole staff for a great school year. It, you know, it really was. It went so fast, but really grateful for all the accomplishments of the staff and the students. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. If anybody's not doing anything the next 2 days, they are looking for ticket takers at the state baseball tournament. I think the email was sent, I think it was sent out today.
Yeah.
I got it from Tom Nikkonen. So if you have an hour or two to spare to go down and take tickets, they would appreciate that.
It's all on your phone. It's
Yeah.
really easy.
End of the year concerts were absolutely phenomenal. They were great. Graduation was great. I want to wish Joel Perkle good luck in Eden Prairie. We're going to miss him, but that's good. Superintendent evaluation. I will be sending the forms out to you hopefully within the next week, and we'll plan on doing the evaluation at the July meeting. And I'll send along, we had three, I believe it was three goals? Yes. Operationalize the strategic plan, including possible referendum work, enhancing safety and security, promote positive learning and working environment across the district, and promoting our district through telling our story. So those are the things we'll be evaluating our superintendent on. So I'll get the forms to you, and then if you could get them back to me within a reasonable time so I can compile them in an anonymous way, and then we'll go into closed session at the July meeting.
Is that the July 10th one?
Yep.
Okay, I will be traveling for
Okay.
work for
Okay.
that. Just
Okay.
Can I mention
Yes.
that I also, one of the things I thought would be helpful for you is I started a Google Doc probably last August or whenever we did this last, when I got my goals, and I've been just adding links to that. So I'll make sure that Deb has a copy of that. I just collected evidence throughout the year. So if you're like, how do I even know if she told our story or did that? How I operationalize that, so you can just look at the evidence with that.
Yeah, I'll attach that with the email with the evaluation form. So.
Is that meeting the 10th or the 12th? Is that Monday or Wednesday?
Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm out of town.
I know,
I'll be here at the 10th.
Right, because, and I can't even be remote, we're hosting, that's right, hosting a reception for disability in, so part of, I'm part of I'm our disability ERG employee resource group champion at Best Buy. So I'm actually going and attending a conference and we're doing a big, so I
Great.
can't be-
Okay. Okay.
You'll be here.
Okay. I also want to thank Jordan Dollars for Scholars and the Booster Club and the foundation for their financial support of the district and for handling all that. The number of scholarships that were given out was just phenomenal. That's just awesome. So thank you to all the work that you guys do on that. Summer seminar, MSBA, August 7th is a Monday. Their focus, they have keynote speakers. It's a one-day summer conference. They have keynote speakers, they have luncheon, and the focus this year is on the literacy of reading, which ties in with Representative Bakeberg's talk on that. So it would be a good opportunity for us to get educated in the literacy piece of it, of literacy of reading, or whatever it's called. Yeah, science of reading, thank you. So I would encourage everybody from the board to attend. It's held up at the Marriott in Brooklyn Park, Marriott Northwest. So it's an easy drive up there. So I think Renee included that link. She did. She included that link in her weekly update. So please get that on your calendars.
We send out like a sign up thing for that, or how does that?
We have to, Carolyn will have to sign up. There is a fee involved, so it's a commitment.
So go back to the weekly update, you'll see the big piece on it, and it says to email Carolyn.
Yep.
If you wanna go, and she can get you registered for that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think
Is anybody else going?
I am, for sure.
I'm gonna go. It's good networking too.
Yeah.
It is good. It's a good day conference. There are some early bird things tied in the night before, and there's also some other phase trainings. So if you want to look at those options, you've done 1 and 2, phase 1 and phase 2. I think they offer 3 and 4 as part of that conference. I know they offer 1 and 2, but I'm not sure, so,
Also, the MSBA website will tell you literally everything too.
yeah,
I saw the email and was looking, but
yeah.
You'd like it.
I think I'll go.
Yeah, it's a fun day. Yeah, it's 8 to 4, so you're done and out of there by 4, so. I think that's all I have. So with that,